I want to talk about our multimodal assignment, which is the digital presentation. This assignment is no different than an actual physical speech, but since we're taking this as an online course, um, your delivery mode is going to be a little bit different. And you will also hopefully have some sort of accompanying visualization to go along with it, whether it be a short little clip or some images you pull from the web or something that you create on your own through your phone. Taking pictures on that is fine. To put this into a PowerPoint sort of type of presentation, you want to engage your audience that way. So this will be a brief little overview about some presentation tips using PowerPoint, which is what I think most of you will probably be using. And we'll talk about the different options. There are many of them, too, to actually record this and submit this to Blackboard. I'll say this now and also say this at the end of the presentation and put this on the submission tab, too. You cannot simply do a 60-second recording or a large PowerPoint with audio in it and just upload it to Blackboard and expect it to work correctly. It will be a large file, and Blackboard tends to corrupt those things. So what I advise doing is making a screencast, which is essentially what I'm doing right now. I'm talking and looking at my screen, looking at a PowerPoint presentation, and I have my notes off to the side as a guide for that presentation as well too. And we use a program that we're going to call it's called Screencast-O-Matic that I highly recommend. It's free to use and it's free to download too, and it's also linked on our multimodal prompt. The reason why you do this is that after you're done with your screencast, you can then upload it to YouTube and just share a link. And there's a brief little tutorial about how to do that as well on our multimodal prompt. Okay, well, we'll go over the three different P's of the PowerPoint. First of all, think about power, doing a powerful delivery for your presentation. Think about ethos, specifically what makes you a credible voice for your presentation. And how you yield power into effective presentation is all about your audience and what you hopefully want to convey to your audience, and keeping in mind what the expectations are from your audience too, and to hopefully think that you've done a good job in presenting your actual evidence from whatever paper it is you are or research you are establishing through the presentation. So it's usually PowerPoint can be a very powerful tool, and there's lots of stuff that goes into the different programming to always hopefully keep it not boring, which is of course the one key feature you want to avoid in a presentation. There's a humorous little example here called Death by PowerPoint that you can review and look at and see some of the mistakes that people do with PowerPoint. But you kind of have to think about what associations you have with PowerPoint. What are some strengths? What are some weaknesses? We kind of mentioned one of the main weaknesses being boring, and I think many of you as students at a university understand how boring PowerPoints can be as sitting down in class too, versus sometimes that you've seen a very informative PowerPoint that catches your attention. Usually it's going to be a combination of good images, appropriate data, and generally speaking, a lack of just someone sitting there reading from the text. You want to actually have more to go into it. And keeping that in mind as you move forward would be an important tip to do so. So there's a little attached YouTube speech where a guy from the 40s, again, this is an older speech too, but makes a pretty big mistake in his speech too. You might think about what that is too. You might also think about if you would have made that mistake in modern times if you used a PowerPoint. Of course, it's a different time frame, different audience, but you might think about how you could have used PowerPoint to his advantage in that speech too, and think about how then you could use PowerPoint in advantage the next time you're developing a speech, not just specifically for our class, but for other classes as well too. And kind of think about how to actually make some good, helpful pointers and tips. And that's what we're going to go to next. So always use margin notes to guide you, your presentation, or a little script. Don't put it all on your slides. That gets really boring to your reader. You want to make sure that you read in a good audible voice. And you can actually integrate audio into it beyond just your voice. You can have music in the background. So long as it's appropriate and engaging to your audience, that's good. I have props listed here in the Viking helmet. Obviously, unless you're using a talking head approach, since you're not doing a physical speech, it would be difficult to do a prop. But that is a viable option if you want to actually integrate some way into your PowerPoint presentation, so long as it's interesting to your audience and appropriate. And don't be just dull when listing things. You want to engage your audience with the research. Even if you think your research is dull, you might look at ways to energize it to your audience to show how interested and passionate you are on it. And of course, always practice. The one big issue with this assignment that I think a lot of students run afoul of is that they have, since it's a shorter assignment, only 60 seconds in length, people get a little bit too cocky with it and don't think about practicing and how much effort it's going to take within that 60 seconds to do a really good quality presentation, not only with your voice but also with slides. And for Writing 102, this is worth 15% of our class, and for Writing 250, this is worth 10%. So you have to keep that in mind as you begin developing your actual presentation. So I'm going to pause here for a minute and we'll shift gears, and I'll show you the Screencast-O-Matic software, which is linked onto our multimodal prompt. So this is the Screencast-O-Matic website, and it's free to download. It gives you up to 15 minutes of recording, and of course that's much more than you're going to need for this assignment. I recommend downloading this and actually putting this onto your Mac or PC, and beginning the process of recording whatever slides you put together, and then uploading that to YouTube. Again, that's a really crucial part of this assignment. You cannot simply upload a PowerPoint with narration included on it to Blackboard and expect it to work. You have to then upload it to YouTube either as a screencast or some sort of digital film that you export to iMovie or Windows Movie Maker. That is crucial for this. But please, as always, shoot me an email if you have questions or stop by during office hours. I will be happy to answer them.